At 2:47 a.m. on a rain-washed Thursday in Beijing, a single audio file was uploaded to an encrypted cloud drive labeled for him. No sender. No metadata. Only a timestamp that placed its creation 3 months after Yumenglong's death. The clip was 46 seconds long. When played, investigators swore they heard a heartbeat before a man's whisper. "Ma, don't let them take the truth." For a nation already haunted by Yumenglong's disappearance, this new fragment reopened every wound that had barely begun to scar. And at the center of it all stood one woman, the only person who claimed to know what really happened that night, his mother. Her apartment sat above a grocery on a forgotten street near Sanlitun, windows covered with brown paper to keep away photographers. Inside, the air smelled faintly of old tea and wet dust. On the table, a framed photo of Yumenglong in his first acting role, smiling, eyes bright, unaware of how heavy fame would become. When we arrived, she was already waiting. Mrs. Long was thin, voice steady, eyes sharper than grief should allow. "They all came," she said. "Police, reporters, fans." But none of them listened. They kept asking what he said. Nobody asked what I heard. She reached into a velvet pouch and placed a small silver recorder on the table. "Scratched, dented, but functional. This is the last call," she whispered. According to call logs recovered from Yumenglong's mother's phone, she received a voice message on August 4, 2025, 10:12 p.m. It lasted 27 seconds. The sender ID read simply unknown. The original investigators had dismissed it as spam. The file was corrupted. But forensic specialists at a private lab in Seoul managed to partially restore it. The first 5 seconds were static. Then, his voice, calm, deliberate, unmistakably Yumenglong's. "Mom, it's me. Don't open the door tonight. Tell them I'm still recording." Then, silence. Then, what sounded like the scrape of metal, a deep breath, and the soft click of a lighter. That's where the message ended. Mrs. Long leaned forward as the audio played from our laptop speakers. Tears didn't fall. They hovered, unspent. "I lied," she confessed. "When they asked if he called me before it happened. I said no, because I thought, if I said yes, they would take even that away." She opened a drawer and revealed a second memory card wrapped in old newspaper. "This one," she said, "he left under my pillow 2 days before." The file on it was labeled Mother_version 1.3, a strange title for a man known for perfection. When played, it was the raw demo of his unreleased song Rain Without a Sky. But at the 20-second mark, a faint whisper overlapped the chorus. "They're recording us even now." Forensic analysis confirmed, the whisper and the lead vocals were captured on different microphones at different times. No trace of splicing. No logical way the two could coexist on the same track. 3 weeks after our first visit, we received an anonymous message from a throwaway account named Ghostline88. It contained a folder titled Project Echo. Inside were fragments of studio memos, emails between Yumenglong's label executives, and one voice memo from a producer. "Delete take 47. He mentioned the candle again. Replace with silence." Cross-referencing the timestamps revealed something chilling. Take 47 was recorded the same night Mrs. Long received the mysterious call. Had he been in the studio, trying to reach her while the recorders rolled? We traced the studio CCTV archives. Half the footage was missing, the rest was corrupted, overwritten by security updates performed 2 days later. Mrs. Long showed us the object she never stopped lighting, a single red candle on the windowsill. The wax was uneven, layers of time melted into one another. She struck a match. "He told me once, if the day ever goes dark, light this and I'll find my way back." When she lit it, the recorder on our table gave a brief flicker of power, though its batteries had been removed. Coincidence, static discharge, or something neither of us could name, it was enough to make everyone in that room stop breathing. We tracked down Lin Chong, Yumenglong's former sound engineer, who had disappeared after the scandal broke. He agreed to speak under anonymity. He had been experimenting with layered frequencies, messages hidden inside reverb tails. He called it truth beneath noise. Lin admitted that Yumenglong often recorded voice memos directly into his mother's number before mixing them into test tracks. He had designed an algorithm to compress human speech into background hum, a secret only he and his soundboard knew. "If you're hearing him after he's gone," Lin said quietly, "it's because he planned for you too." Official reports state that the fire at Yumenglong's studio was caused by a short circuit. But new evidence shows multiple ignition points, suggesting deliberate arson. A janitor recalled seeing two men leaving through the back exit carrying hard drives labeled YML project. Those drives were never recovered. Mrs. Long believes the voice message was recorded moments before that fire began. He knew, she said. He knew they were coming for the songs. Digital forensics traced Yumenglong's cloud backups to a dormant server registered in Singapore. Buried within was a folder named For Mother. Inside, 32 short audio snippets, each titled with a time and a single word: 103 Truth, 246 Blood, 317 Sky, 404 Door. When assembled in order, the clips formed a single sentence. Truth bleeds beneath the sky, don't open the door. It was a mirror of his last voice message. A message he had left piece by piece, hidden inside his own music. When excerpts of the restored message leaked online, fans flooded comment sections with theories. Some said it was a posthumous hoax. Others believed Yumenglong had faked his death to expose the industry. A few claimed to hear a second voice whispering his name in the background, his mother's. Government servers flagged the file within hours, citing copyright violations. But the deletion only amplified curiosity. Every copy erased seemed to multiply elsewhere, mirrored across underground forums and encrypted channels. They began calling it the message that wouldn't die. For weeks, our team analyzed spectrograms of the clip, searching for proof of editing. Hidden in the final frequency band, just beyond the audible range, lay a faint pattern, binary code that translated into a date, 12/09/22. That was the day Mrs. Long gave her first televised interview, the day she said, "I forgive whoever silenced him. But I won't forgive silence itself." She had never seen the spectrograms. Yet the date embedded in his voice matched the one she chose to speak publicly. A month later, Mrs. Long agreed to appear on a late-night broadcast. Halfway through her segment, the studio's power failed. Backup generators engaged, but the recording system froze at the exact moment she said, "He told me his voice would live in the machines." The show's producers found the master file corrupted. But a backup drive in the control room retained 46 seconds of clean audio, the same length as the original mysterious clip. When played, her voice merged seamlessly with his. 2 waveforms. 1 rhythm. No interference. No explanation. When we returned to her apartment weeks later, the brown paper had been removed from the windows. Sunlight poured across the table where the recorder once sat. It was gone. "He told me to give it to the sea," she said softly. "So I did." She had taken a trip to the coast, released the recorder into the tide, and watched it drift away. I think he just wanted to stop being edited. Today, experts still debate the origins of the last call. Some insist it was a pre-scheduled message triggered by a glitch. Others argue it was a marketing stunt cut short by tragedy. A few, however, believe it was Yumenglong's final act of rebellion, an artist embedding his truth where no censorship could reach, inside a mother's love. Every year on August 4th, at precisely 10:12 p.m., Mrs. Long's phone emits a faint static hum. No caller ID. No number. Just 46 seconds of silence. And somewhere within that silence, a whisper. "Ma, don't let them take the truth." Investigators eventually concluded the message was authentic, recorded days before his death, auto-uploaded by a software bug that delayed transmission. But they couldn't explain the second heartbeat layered beneath his words. Mrs. Long says she doesn't need an explanation. She believes some things survive not because they are supernatural, but because love refuses to compress into silence. "He left a voice," she told us. "That's more than most leave behind." And as the candlelight trembled against her window, the world outside kept recording, every echo, every whisper, every unfinished song, proof that even in the static, the truth is still trying to speak. The morning after the file surfaced, Mrs. Menglong refused to leave her apartment. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets slick and reflective, a mirror for the city's silent grief. Inside, the walls seemed to pulse with memory, and every shadow carried the weight of the past. She sat at the table where the recorder had rested, fingers tracing the edge of the laptop as if she could coax Yumenglong's voice to speak again. "They think I'm hiding nothing," she whispered. "But every sound in this house, every echo, it's him speaking through me." We watched as she lifted a small notebook, pages yellowed and curling, and began to read passages we hadn't seen before. Each line was meticulously dated, chronicling moments that never appeared in any public report: the days he spent rehearsing songs no one would hear, the late nights where the city's hum was his only companion, the countless phone calls she pretended never came. August 2nd, she read, he told me he couldn't stop recording, that they were watching, that the music would survive even if he did not. Her voice trembled but did not break. She paused and turned the notebook toward us, revealing a small sketch, a candle burning atop a windowsill, smoke spiraling into the shape of an ear. I thought it was just a drawing, she said. But when the message arrived, I understood. He wanted me to hear, not just see. To witness what they tried to erase. She pressed play on a small hidden device, one we hadn't noticed before. The static was louder than before, layered with an undercurrent of low-frequency hum. Then his voice emerged, distinct, direct, almost alive. Ma, listen closely. If you hear this, it means the doors are closed, the room's empty, but the truth is in the quiet. The phrase "in the quiet" lingered, almost vibrating against the walls, making the apartment feel larger than it was, as though the city itself held its breath to hear. Mrs. Long's hands shook as she adjusted the volume, and suddenly we noticed something new, a soft background melody beneath the static, a fragment of one of his unreleased songs, distorted, but unmistakably him. She paused the recording and looked up, eyes wide. That melody. I hadn't realized it was in the message. He embedded it himself, layered so it would survive compression, survive deletion, survive everything they tried to do. We asked her who she meant by they, but she only shook her head. It doesn't matter who. It's the system, the people who decide what is heard and what isn't. He wanted me to bypass all of it. To be the first listener. The next hours passed in a strange rhythm. She moved through her apartment like a conductor, pointing to objects, turning on small lights, tracing fingers over the table, the window sill, the curtain rod. Each gesture seemed tied to a memory, a cue for some hidden part of the message. When she placed a hand on the piano keys, we heard it, a soft, electronic tone emanating from the floorboards. It was the faint hum of a frequency previously undetectable to the human ear, part of the encryption Yumenglong had designed. He told me he could hide secrets in sound, she said. I thought it was a child's game, but no. It was a lifeline. Later, she led us to the closet where the music box had sat for decades, dust layered like snow on its carved surface. When she wound it, the melody was slow, warped, but familiar. Yumenglong's voice had been carefully recorded into its mechanisms decades before, or so it seemed, considering his youth. The song itself contained timestamps, coded sequences that matched the time of the messages. Every note, every pause, it's a map, she explained. He was telling me where to look, what to hear, and when to trust my ears over my eyes. We asked about the candle, the one she had been lighting every night since his disappearance. She smiled faintly, almost as if she had known we would ask. The flame is more than light, she said. It is a marker, a heartbeat. I light it when I'm ready to listen. When the world is too loud, I close my eyes and let him speak. And then she did something unexpected. She moved the recorder to the window and held it out into the morning air. The wind stirred and carried a low hum that resonated with the hidden frequency embedded in the file. For a moment, it seemed as if the city itself had paused. Cars slowed, pedestrians glanced upward, and the light caught the dust motes in the air, turning them into fleeting fragments of a music score. He said the world might try to erase him, she whispered. But if I let the sound escape, even just a little, it will find the ears of those who need to hear. We asked what she planned to do with the message now. Her eyes met ours, steady, unwavering. I will protect it, she said. Until it is time for the truth to speak for itself. Until everyone knows he was here. That he tried. That he survived in sound. The final act of that morning was almost imperceptible. She pressed a button on the recorder, and the device emitted a single, pure tone that lingered for seconds before fading. The air seemed charged with electricity. Static hissed, then cleared, leaving silence, thick, heavy, meaningful. He left this for me, she said. A last call. Not for the world, not for the cameras, not for anyone but me. And maybe, just maybe, I can share it with the world when the time is right. We left her apartment with the sun climbing above the rooftops. The streets glistened, reflecting light and shadow in equal measure. Even now, the memory of her hands, the recorder, and the candle's tiny flame lingered. It was clear. the message was more than sound, it was a testament. A hidden life force, encoded in music and static, surviving the forces that tried to silence him. As we walked away, the files we had copied, the fragments, the hums, the reconstructed snippets of voice, felt alive. Each playback revealed something new, a whisper beneath a chord, a pattern in the static, a heartbeat at the edge of perception. Yumenglong had left not just a voice message, but a legacy hidden in the minutiae of sound, and a mother who understood it in ways no one else could. Even after 3 months, even after investigators and forensic teams had scoured every angle, the world had yet to comprehend the full scope of his final call. It was a message built to survive interference, to persist in layers, to travel beyond deletion. And it was only in her hands, through her eyes, ears, and heartbeat, that it truly lived. In the coming days, weeks, and months, the message would continue to ripple outward. Each listener who uncovered even a fragment would feel the weight of what was lost, and what had been carefully preserved. But for Mrs. Long, there was no question. She had heard him, fully, completely, and it was enough. "I don't need proof for the world," she said. "I have the last call. And that is everything."